Alas, I come to all of you with a whole new look on the aspect of high note trumpet and how to achieve it and how to do it without hurting yourself. Even though you can't overdo it still, even though you can do correct principles, it is something that can be overdone. You gotta be careful. One must be very careful. And even last night, even though I was doing all these correct things, my lip, is still looking pretty crazy and feeling pretty crazy. Like, I was like, wow. I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, man. But after a nice warm-up, things will feel nice. And I'm going to show you guys how to achieve this, this feeling and the right way to achieve it. Let me rephrase that. I want to show you guys how to really discover the upper register in a way that, you can build it and keep getting it stronger and, do it day after day rather than doing it one day and then just being completely shot, the next. Even though the trumpet will still be like that, it's one of those things where, you have to go hard one day, not so hard the next day, hard one day, not so hard the next day, or, go hard, and then the day before you have a gig or something, just warm up or something, it's one of those things where, you're dealing with muscles in the lips. No, I'm really starting to figure out how to do it correctly. Like, I did all my, I was really figuring out, correctly last night how to do it. I was going a little overboard, and after my muscles here gave out, I was using a lot more pressure, and I could even feel, my lip cutting in, I woke up this morning, my lip felt very stiff, and I was like, wow. But I'm confident with this new approach, I'm going to be fine after I warm up and everything. It's crazy. I'm confident, and I know it's going to work. I'll show you guys why. Follow me. It's a little background about everything that's happened to me in the last 4 years. In high school, I was able to play really high on the trumpet. I was able to hit a F and a high G, sometimes even a double A over a high C. And I played on a shallow Marzinkowitz 1 mouthpiece, and, I had really, 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 say really? My gosh, really, really bad technique. The worst technique you could ever think possible. When I would play above, high E, I would puff my cheeks to set rather than setting like this, like you normally should. And in general, the trumpet should be set like this. There is a correct way to play the trumpet. Anyone who tells you there's not a correct way to play the trumpet, well, they had success playing their own way. And that's the thing. Someone once told me the rules don't apply to everybody. That's true. You see some trumpet players where they sound amazing and their technique is... I'll actually show an example of that right now. This is a great lead player on Instagram who I follow. His name is Tyler Yeager. I love his playing. I love his sound. But his technique, you look at his embochure, it is fucked up. I'm like, what? It's crazy. And it's wild to see someone who has such bad technique sound so effing good. And even someone like Maynard Ferguson. I mean, that guy, you look at his lip, it is just like this guy did not have great, you see he's just he's using straight pressure. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how some people can sound so good with the worst technique possible. Like I said, the rules don't apply to everybody. If it works for you, it works. Who says you should change it? If it's working and you're able to deal a high G or anything, you're able to deal double C's and, you're not hurting yourself, kudos to you. I was not one of those people. I was really doing some serious damage. And when I got to college, I blew my lip completely. But I'll talk about that more. Anyways, here's that lead player. I'll show you. This is insane. And you know what? You know why he probably sounds so good in the upper register? This is what he talks about when he practices.
Videos I've been posting. And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking melodies that I know really well that I've grown up with, and I play them in different keys and different octaves.
It's some legit shit.
For me, that's been more improving my range because...
And that's the thing. He probably did that so much to the point where he just built chops, and then whatever way he was doing it, it just eventually came one day. That's how it was for me. I just played up there so much to the point where I just kind of found him, but I just had such bad technique. So, let me show you how this guy sounds. He sounds unreal. I want to sound like this. This guy sounds amazing, beautiful. This is how a lead trumpet player should sound, in my opinion. And that's what he was saying. He takes melodies, and he puts them in all keys, and if you're like me, all 12 keys would be nice, but, he puts them in different keys, because when you put a melody in a different key, you're changing, where it is. And that's how you, maybe you start in, maybe one key and it's so high, and then you put up a half step and you keep going. Maynard was all about that. That's what he shedded. And you know what? Maynard didn't have the greatest technique either, and he sounded amazing. So, you know what? Maybe there's some truth behind this. And I've kind of shedded this, but I need to really work on this. It's so funny. I play in jazz jams, and, at the end of the jams, I'll take things up the octave, and people are like, dude, you're fucking too much. And I'm just like, but... that's how I shed it, but I need to really sit down and, learn some, seriously cool melodies like this, what you're about to hear. Unreal. But listen to this. That sounds wild. Alright, let me play this. Look at that embouchure. This dude's embouchure is insane. Like, look at it. Oh, bro. That's a straight. That's like a straight. I gotta get a better angle of it. He's just straight. Like, I mean, I will at least say he's at least setting. At least he's setting like this. He's setting like this. He's not like he's puffing the set like I used to. At least he's setting like this. But you see the puff he's getting? Like, holy shit. This cat is wild. Oh, no. That's fine. No. It sounds so fucking good. Oh my god, it gets worse and worse. I will say, at least he's setting like this. You know, M. And in general, I'll talk about this in a second, but, you know, the right way to set is, you know, when you play a trumpet, saying M, for your lips. And the goal is to have it in the center, as much in the center as you can. And even for me, I used to play all the way. If you look at the mark of my mouthpiece, I used to have keep talking about my embouchure, but a little aside. I was on such a roll the other day with this video. This video was turning out like so lit, and man, my phone was just being super annoying, and it kept saying, your storage is full, and I deleted like half the shit off my phone, and it still said my phone was full. Either way, we back 2 days later, but it's okay. We're all going to get better at the trumpet, and that's why I'm making this video. It's like I said, to continue, now that the aside is over, if you look at my lip, there's a mark, like right there. That's where I used to play, and I learned how to play for this gap. It feels super weird now thinking about it, because, like, I play here now. I literally spent the last 4 months of hell changing my embouchure, and I'll get into how I changed and everything, but I used to play all the way out, right out here. And I learned how to play through this gap originally. When I was in high school, you know, I used to puff my cheeks a ton to set, like I said. I used to puff my cheeks all the time. And there were times, you know, I would play in one setting off to the left, like I do now, for the most part, like this. And I was able to play up to, like, you know, high E without, like, my cheeks puffing or anything. But if I wanted to go above a high E, and even when I got tired, when I was playing around, like, a lot of high Cs, high Ds, you know, because I played lead trumpet 3 years in high school, yeah. So sophomore through senior year, I was the lead player of the top band in my high school. Like, I never looked at it like that, but, you know, I guess that's what it was. And you know, it was an intense position to have, you know. And you know, I would play with my cheeks puffed a lot, and I would use so much pressure. But here's the thing, though. In high school, I never really had to push myself. I never got into a situation where I was pushing myself extremely overboard like I do now, not only in the real world, but, like, I mean, just practicing in general. I mean, I'm someone who loves to practice. I practice a ton, and I'm never going to change. I mean, I put a lot of time into my craft, and, you know, it's just how I do. And, you know, high school, well, at least up until my senior year at least. My senior year, I started having some serious warning signs about, you know, the crazier embouchure blowout that I'm about to talk about. School, you know, even, like, during my senior year, you know, my range got a lot better, and you know, it's just like I was able to play up there, and there was a reason why, too. I mean, during the summer between my junior and senior year, I just took 30 days off the trumpet. You know, I lived life. You know, I just had fun with my homies, you know, was doing crazy shit, and that fun ended. And I, you know, started picking up the horn again, and I wasn't really serious. You know, it's just like during that time, you know, I was going through like a kind of like a, I wouldn't say identity crisis, but it was a depressing time. You know, this girl I really liked didn't like me. So this is like my junior going to my senior year of high school. Like, you know, this girl who, like, you know, I made out with and everything, like, didn't like me, and, like, you know, really depressed the shit out of me, and, like, I was living life with my boys, and you know, it was just like, you know, the last thing I wanted to do was play the trumpet, and, like, it's so funny. Time I got into, like, rap and other kinds of music, but that's besides the point. So my junior into my senior year, you know, because I took those 30 days off, it was so funny. I came back to the trumpet, it felt super weird, but then I started playing up high, and I realized I could play higher. Like, you know, my high F was coming out so much easier than it ever had, and I was like, what is going on? But it was terrible because I was really puffing my cheeks to hit that high F. My cheeks were fully puffed, and that's how I used to set. And I played all the way off to the left to even make it even worse. And it was crazy, yeah. So senior year came around. Towards the end of senior year, you know, when I tried out for college, I actually before my college audition, I actually really blew the F out of my lip because I waited too long to practice before my college audition, and I really didn't know how to improvise, and I was trying to really. Either way, I really screwed up, and I showed up in my college audition with like no lip pretty much, but I still got in. I got through it, and like I even told them my lips off. And the people who I got into school with, this guy named Jimmy Green, this other guy named Jamie Bagan, they had heard me play before, and they knew I had like some chops and I was very talented, and they even saw that I had some talent, even though despite my really effed up lip. But they were like, all right, we'll let you in, and I got very lucky. I'm blessed they decided to let me into that school, and I learned so much at that place. So funny. I mean, I ended up dropping out of school to pursue what I love doing the most, playing the trumpet and doing my thing. But that's another story for another time. Anyways, so towards the end of my senior year, I started really having, I was planning to play a lot more. And there were times, I really blew my lip really badly. Like, I'd have some concerts where I just, like... And even in general, like, my whole thing with high note trumpet back then, too, I was very on or off. I was very inconsistent. I was, like, even if I was able to hit high notes, I was only able to do it for a little bit. I'd, like, hit it for a little bit, and I'd just be completely shot. I would leave some of those rehearsals, like, not even making a sound, and, like, I'd be bottoming out on the... Like I said, I play on a Marzinkowitz, really, really, really shallow mouthpiece, like, so bad. And, like I said, puffing my cheeks and playing out all the way to the left. I didn't take lessons in high school. I literally did not take lessons, and... It's so funny. I didn't take lessons because, like, my band director, when I got to high school my freshman year, I was so about the trumpet, and, like, I mean, he roasted me, and, like, I'm a guy who takes criticism very badly, and, I mean, he roasted me, and he did it for, like, good reasons, obviously, but, like, I never, God. But even though he's crazy. I don't know. Me and him are boys, but, like, he's a wild man. And, like, like, to get back at him, he always, like, oh, you should take trumpet lessons. You should take trumpet lessons. Like, oh, I don't have time, man. And then I'd always show up, and I'd always, like, be the dude who'd be dealing at, like, the auditions or in general just, you saw I was always, like, really about it. And, I never wanted to take trumpet lessons because I wanted to show him, like, I'm going to figure this shit out. Like, fuck you. Like, I mean, it's even, deep down, I still have, like, mixed feelings about, like, how hard he roasted me at times and, but, like, it was all for the better. I mean, it was good he did that. But it's just, like, like I said, I take criticism horribly. I still take criticism horribly. I'm getting better at dealing with it. But, I mean, I just, like, at the end of the day, I mean, even for me, I've kind of realized in this music, I'm really trying to do my own thing. And, my own thing involves a lot of things that people don't like high note trumpet. I love playing super outside the chord changes. I like playing a lot of notes, And it pisses people off because they know I can bring what the music really calls for. But I really want to do my own thing, and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's not music. Like, you're not musical. Even though I think I'm the most musical motherfucker ever, because, like, high notes are fucking awesome. Playing outside the changes is, like, hip in my eyes. Crazy vocabulary is in my eyes hip. Well, I'm gonna go down for being, I'm really gonna be doing my own thing, and, like, I'm really gonna make a lot of haters, and I'm gonna make a lot of friends. So I already have, and it's gonna keep getting better and better. But that's also besides the point. Like I was saying, though, like, my high school band director wanted me to take lessons. He really wanted me to take them, and I was like, no, I don't have time for that, man. And, like, I just wanted to show him, like, I'm going to figure this out, go fuck yourself, like, I'm going to be, and, like, I'm an idiot. Like, I really should have taken lessons, but no, but at the same time, though, like, the fact, I was always, like, using my ear and, like, listening, and, so it was good, but at the same time, it came to bite me in the ass when I got to college. So, anyways, so like I said, like towards the end of high school, I had some times, like I said, my college audition, there were other concerts, I really blew my lip, and I'd have nothing by the end, and like it just like, back then I could take 4 or 5 days off, come back, and for whatever reason, I was really smart. I was really smart about how I practiced, and like for whatever reason, I don't know, I was just like super good at like, just not over practicing and not like, if I overdid myself, if I overworked myself, if I blew out my lip, I was really good at like taking the proper rest and able to come back. But as you get older and as you get more into the real world, you realize, you don't have 4 or 5 days to take off and like, do other clown shit with your homies. And it doesn't work like that, like for me trying to be a professional and even for now trying to be a lead trumpet player, I was very on the fence about it, but now I say like me now, I'm really trying to be a lead motherfucking trumpet player. I'm trying to be, not only a studio trumpet player, but I'm also trying to have the improv behind it, but I'm really trying to, I really want to get to the point where I can play some serious big band gigs and play like, some serious studio lead trumpet. And it's good that I have the, the chord change background now, behind it. But, going back to all of this, so during high school, I was really smart. Even if I did like fuck up my lip, I took lots of days off and I was just really smart. And then, so then that's the thing. So then the summer came along and I was getting a lot of gigs. I was playing in like clubs, I was playing like marching bands. I was playing with like some jazz bands, some Latin bands. I met a saxophone player who was 2 years younger than me, who was fucking ridiculously killing for a sophomore in high school. I mean, this kid had the ears I have now. You know, he figured out changes by ear. He could sing everything he could play. And I'm at that point now where I figure out everything by ear, changes. You know, I still have to work on, like, you know, figuring out like sus chords and like slash chords. But when it comes to like 2/5 harmony and like, you know, like standard like 1/4/5 and like in general, like, and like, you know, sometimes if there is a hard chord in a song, I'll figure it out. It just takes me a second, you know. But I mean, that's the thing. I put myself in the position like I figure out everything by ear. I think that's so important, you know. If you're not figuring out everything by ear, I mean, you're really you're wasting your time. But, you know, you gotta get to the if you want to be a serious professional musician, that's something you gotta strive for, and that's something I take pride in now. I mean, I've always used my ear, but now it's just like I can hear changes, I can hear notes, I figure out everything by ear. Like that. When I was younger, like, I was able to transcribe really well. And then when I got to college, I had no problem transcribing, like, notes. My teachers give me stuff to transcribe. I had no problem transcribing it. But I couldn't hear changes. I could tell you what key a song was in, though. It was weird. I still am, like, good at doing that. I can just hear something like, oh, this is overall in C minor. Or there's keys that give it away. It's, like, hard to explain. But yeah, now I figure out all the changes by ear. I figure out, you know, I transcribe everything by ear. I think it's super important to do that. And I'll never look at a lead sheet again, ever, you know, only on the gig, if I get it put in front of me. And I mean, for me, like, I really should, like, you know, practice, like, reading lead sheets, but, like, I don't want to, because, like, you know, I'm all about the real cat shit, you know. But it would help if I, like, you know, practice that kind of stuff. I don't know. Either way, I'm all about the ear. And it's so funny, even though I had no problem transcribing the things, making it sound good in the trumpet, oh, that's a whole different story. You know, I had such bad technique. You know, when my teacher would give me a transcription, I would literally bust my ass to fucking... I'd get the transcription done, but was every note in tune? Hell no. Did I make every note? Hell no. But did I get through the transcription? Yeah, but there are times, too, like, if my lip was really fresh, I could play it really nicely, but, man, I just had such bad technique, and this is what we're going to get into. You know, got out of high school, I was playing all over. I met this kid who was 2 years younger than me, super killing. He was really pushing me, and I mean, he would, you know, he studied with, like, you know, some of the best people in New York City. He studied with people in Wynton Marsalis' band. He even, like, you know, he even went on to sub in Wynton Marsalis' band, Jazz in Lincoln Center, and, like, this kid is ridiculous, and he's still, you know, out there playing. You know, we don't talk at all anymore. You know, we had some beef, you know, some personal things. We'll say that kid really taught me about the real cat shit and learning things by ear. And so funny, after he left America, you know, I could just start hearing chords to songs. It's just like crazy. It's like it's just like, I mean, he heard me play since then. I think he figured out I had that click, but who knows? It doesn't even matter. But he was really pushing me during the time. He was really, like, just being crazy and just, like, you know, he was just, like, really trying to push me, but he pushed me too hard, and I was really inspired to practice jazz, because I love jazz. I mean, that's the thing. I love jazz so much. I mean, that's why I can improvise low-key, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, especially playing over, like, lots of, like, jazz tunes, jazz standards, like 2/5 harmony. You know, I have a strength in playing in that kind of style, like bebop, I guess. Bebop, hard bop. I have a strength in playing in that kind of style, you know, and, you know, it's because I love it. I love, like, you know, bebop and hard bop, and, you know, like Bird, Sonny Rollins, early train, even though I love, like, late train. I love all kinds of jazz, but, you know, I've really checked out, you know, like, the school of bebop and hard bop, Clifford Brown, Freddie Hubbard. The list goes on and on. But, you know, he really pushed me, and then on top of everything that was going on, you know, school, all this stuff, I blew my lip completely, pretty much. And, you know, Jimmy Green, my big band director, who heard me in high school, you know, when I had my lip, and like I said, he heard me in high school, and, you know, he's impressed. And then, you know, my audition, I came in with a pretty shot lip, and they still let me in, and, like, then, like, you know, so I somehow still got lead trumpet at Jazz Ensemble. I remember going into my audition, and my lip was super shot. I played my transcription, didn't sound the greatest. Yeah, it didn't sound good at all, to be real with you. And then, like, sight reading did not sound good at all. But they saw I had some decent chops, so they still put me in as lead for the second best band. And, oh, man, my lip was completely shot. And it was so crazy during that time, still able to hit a double high A during that time. And, like, it was so funny, you know, we'd play through the chart. I'd sound like shit, but I still hit the double high A at the end. Not with a good sound at all. It was just super loud, and, God. And that's the thing. So what happened was, you know, just over time, I was just realizing how, like, you know, it was so funny. Like, 2 weeks before school started, like, my double high G was sounding so good, and I was like, I'm ready. And I just started, like I said, I was just, you know, I was all these gigs. I was practicing too much. I was getting pushed by this kid, and then, you know, I was playing way too much, and I just, you know, one thing led to another, and I just, you know, I'd go to play, and I had legitimately nothing. I mean, it was kind of like, my lip has never been the same since. Has never been the same since. I was playing on Marzinkowitz the whole time, and I really blew the fuck out of my lip, you know, and, you know, imagine, you know, going from being able to really play up there, and then you go to play, and I would just get a farting noise all the time, like this crazy farting noise, like, because my lip was bottoming out because it was too swollen or whatever. I don't even know. I did some serious damage, though. And that's a perfect example of what happens when you play with bad technique for too long. Boom. Like I said, I'd be playing through the chart and I'd be sounding like shit. I'd be like, bottoming out all the time. And then I don't know, I could just hit the last note. And in general, there were actually some times, though, I had some decent days because I would run a lot and, like, I would, like, just, like, rest. And there were some times, I got through it and I sounded decent. Decent. Not what I was doing in high school, but, like, decent. And I was still hitting, like, like the double A at the end of some songs and hitting some high notes. And, sometimes, but, like, still, if I wasn't careful, I'd get the... So that's the thing. I had to be super soft. I had to be, well... I was playing super soft to make sure I could make a sound, but I couldn't, I couldn't just give it my all like I was. I had to be, and like that sucks, You're thinking about it too much, and it's like it shouldn't be like that. You should be able to, and nothing is stopping you. But if I just gave it too much of this, I would just bottom out. So I was really playing with puffed cheeks like that time too. It was just really, really bad. So some serious shit. And there was a concert we had, and that double A that I was hitting, and that's the thing. Jimmy was like, all right, like, he was impressed by it. I was hitting it, and he'd always be like, Austin, hold it past the band. And I would, and he'd be like, he'd wink at me sometimes. But there was a concert we had. It was the first Oktoberfest concert. There's actually a video of it. I hope that video gets burned somewhere. But I actually missed the double A really badly. And this lead player who went to school with me. Now imagine going to school, and this kid comes in. This kid comes in as you. I met him at orientation, but this kid comes in, and this kid had such good technique. He was already hitting double high C's, like double high C's, no problem. As a freshman in college, it's just like, oh. And he first heard me, and he was like, "Oh man, you sound good," because he heard me hit that double A like in rehearsals, and like he'd be outside of the room, and he'd look in, and like he heard me play, and he was like, "Yeah, you sound good." I was like, "Dude, you sound killing too." I heard him at Dutch, and you sound unbelievable. And that kid throughout school, man, was unbelievable. Imagine going to school with someone who's just double high C, no problem. I mean, it was super fucking annoying. It was just like, it's amazing he had that talent, but like for someone like me who was like, that's all you dreamed of, and like this kid is just like doing it so easily, and you've worked it's just super annoying, man. Not only jealousy that I had, but it's just like, it's super annoying. It's like dealing with a child prodigy or some shit. And he heard me miss the double A on the concert. And that started a whole beef thing between me and him. I mean, it was just like, we always were talking shit about each other throughout school. And that's the thing. So, now that now that I was like, my lip was all fucked up. So after that concert, I went to a deeper mouthpiece. I started really working on like fixing these problems and went to a deeper mouthpiece. I was still able to get kind of a high F out, not really. And it was just like, oh man, it was super shitty getting it together. And during that time is where I really started learning about chord changes, and I started transcribing a lot, and I just really I buckled down. I stopped worrying about high notes, and I just really started. I was taking classical lessons at the time, and my classical teacher too even told me when I first got to school, he was like, yo man, you gotta fucking stop playing on the shallow mouthpiece, you're not gonna be able to play in 2 years, yada yada. He really helped me out too. He got me into lip buzzing. It's a beautiful thing. I'll explain that a little bit, but he really my classical teacher really helped me through some stuff, and I was really focusing on playing classically, and I was still playing. Luckily, after that whole thing, second semester of my freshman year, I got lead trumpet in ensemble again. I was playing on a bigger mouthpiece, and at this time, not only was I playing lead trumpet, but when I got called in the solo, I was starting to be able to play chord changes because I was hanging out with this kid who was like constantly kicking my ass, who was already killing, and he was just teaching me about things, and I was transcribing a lot too, and I was just like, I learned a lot about harmony during that time, and I had a big click about playing in all 12 keys, which is so important. There's a whole, I'll make a video too, like I even said in my previous videos about, jazz. If you want to get good at jazz, what to shed, and like a jazz for beginners, thing, and I'm gonna make a video about it. So yeah, I had this huge click of harmony, and at the end of my freshman year, I could play over an F blues, and I had some lines that I could spit out that were in the changes, and I got Jimmy called on me the solo at the end of my freshman year, and I was like not only spitting some lines, I was spitting some nice melodic ideas too, and I had some high notes, but it was so funny. I mean, it was like I was playing on like a bigger mouthpiece, so I was not the greatest high notes, but I was getting through. Comes to shove, and like I spent that whole summer, it was so funny. Like that whole summer, I had this huge click about playing and everything in 12 keys, and I was transcribing a lot, and it was so funny. It would take me like 6 hours to put like a simple 2/5 line, like that's a Cannonball Adderley line I took off Miles straight. He plays. I took that. I remember putting that in all 12 keys. By the time I was done putting in all 12 keys, I wasn't even playing it high on the trumpet or anything. My lip would be so fried I couldn't play anything. The whole summer I was learning tunes. I was doing all this shit, and I kept blowing my lip because I put things in 12 keys. I just fucking fuck up my lip. I'd fuck up my lip. I'd fuck up my lip. It's just super shitty, man. I just keep hurting myself, and it was bad. And then, so push comes to shove, my sophomore year, I'm about to come back to school sophomore year, and we find out we have a new faculty member on our faculty. The school called Western Connecticut State University, and that's where I, like I said, ended up dropping out, which will be another story for another time. And yeah. Anyways, so push comes to shove, new faculty member on our thing, and it's this guy named Jimani Smith. And it's crazy. This would be the guy who would save my career. Little did I know. And, his resume, Michael Bublé's lead trumpet player. He played with Quincy Jones, like, all these people. And he studied with Wynton Marsalis privately. After go and, like, went to Juilliard. I mean, this guy, I'm, like, just looking at his resume. I mean, it's just like, yeah, this guy is probably insane. It's so funny, like, I met him before I even heard him play, and I remember meeting him. Jimmy introduced him. Jimmy was like, Austin, I want you to meet Jimani. Like, I saw them both in the lobby, and Jimmy's like, Austin, come over here. I want you to meet Jimani. This is Jimani, this is Austin. And I think Jimmy introduced him because, like, Jimmy saw, like, my talent, and Jimmy knew my talent since high school, and, he wanted me to meet him, and, super awkward, but I was like, what was it like studying with Wynton? He was like, yeah, man, it's crazy, and so I got to meet him, and the thing about this guy, I mean, this guy's one of the most serious cats, and right now is making a serious living off the trumpet. I mean, unbelievable cat, and one of the hardest working dudes in music, and the guy is still hardworking. He still practices like crazy. He's an admirable dude, and he would go on to save my career. I met him, and it was like super funny, and like that's the thing. He was a super funny guy, and that's the thing I liked. He was super serious, and he kicked my ass like crazy, but throughout all, even though he was kicking my ass, he was a really nice and really chill guy. Really chill guy. That's what I like. He was super chill. He just kind of understood, like, my generation, because he was kind of part of, like, my generation, low-key. He was a generation before my generation, so he kind of understood, like, the whole, like, just the teenage youth, and he was a super chill guy, so I thank him for that, wherever he is out there, he saved my career. But, so this is how he went to save my career. So, that year when he joined the faculty, he was my combo coach, and he was my jazz ensemble coach. And the first time he ever heard me play, oh man. So we get the combo, right? And he's just like, all right, we're going to go through bird blues in all 12 keys. And me being where I was at the time, I was like, I could barely play a blues in all 12 keys. Let alone like 3 different keys, 4 different keys. Oh, God. Yeah, like, we play through bird blues in all 12 keys. I sound like complete shit. And I was trying to hit high notes, and I'm missing them, and like, great first impression, right? Great first impression. So yeah, I'm like missing them and shit, and like I sound bad, And not only am I missing high notes and like trying to press them, and like, we go through all 12 keys. I have nothing good to say in any of those keys. It's bad. It was bad, man. It was bad. Even better, I had jazz ensemble where I was the lead trumpet player, and my lip was so shot from like, school being school, and I was playing it correctly, and like I said, yeah, so, we get to, oh my God, yeah, we get to, we get to jazz ensemble, and we're playing this, I forget the name of the chart, I'll have to, but there's this one part, so anyway, so on the chart, I'm doing pretty decent, there's one part, it's like, up to high D, and I'm really dealing that, and I'm like, so he probably heard me in the high Ds, and like, it was super loud too, so I was playing super loud in the high Ds and everything, so it's like, probably heard me the first time, like, wow, this kid plays really fucking loud, holy shit. So I was playing really loud on that, so I was like, yeah, you heard me, so that's good, that sounds alright. We get to the end of the chart, there's a double G written, and I missed a G completely. I sound terrible. I tried to take the thing up, and I missed a G completely, and like, he looks up, and he just looks at me like the worst. He comes up to me at the end, and he's just like, man, like, you're really hurting yourself, like, you gotta be careful, like, you don't want to be the dude who, like, is effing up his lip. He's like, you're really hurting yourself, man, and, like, oh, God, and then, like, rehearsal after rehearsal, I was constantly just missing stuff, and, like, he just saw how badly I was hurting myself, and, like, I really sounded the worst ever, and so, it's like, I deserved it, I was trying to really, like, be like, oh, like, look what I can do, and I was just getting what I deserved, just, like, fucking nothing. He'd always come up to me after and be like, dude, you're really hurting yourself. Like, you're not going to be able to play. You keep playing like this. Like, I will say, though, some days, by the grace of luck and, maybe I was practicing better or, like, I take rest, I came through and I was actually really on, and, like, he heard that, and, like, he was like, okay. And there was actually one time I actually had a double high A. I had, like, a high F to a double high A at the end of the chart, and I was, like, about to pass out. And he was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And this really hot girl outside came in. She's like, oh, my God, who hit that note? And he was like, him, like, pointing at me. And she was like, that was dope. And then like went out, and like I could tell he was even just like, with this kid, like, so funny, like what, my well, like, the one big thing I've always been talented with is making a really, really loud sound, the trumpet, and that was from like day one. I've always like just loved playing the horn super loud, and I still love playing super loud. But it's one of those things. I'm really learning how to control it, and it's one of those things. If it were up to me, I'd play it loud all the fucking time. But not only do you hurt your lip doing that, well, not hurt your lip, but you're using like lip energy, and like not everybody likes that. So, I mean, it's my thing. It's what I'm going to continue to do. But I don't know. I want to use it more sparingly, but it's just what I do, man. I play the trumpet super loud, love it. But yeah, so like that happened, and anyways, it got to the point where he was like, "You need to study with me," and I was like, "Yes." And even like when I first met him, I was like, "Dude, I really want to study with you." He was talking about how like in the practice room he was like finding like AAA flats, and I was like, "Yeah, bro, like I really want to study with you, hell yeah." And like he even like when we'd be talking, he saw how passionate I was about trumpet playing, and the guy was a really really dope dude. Like I said, Jamani Smith, and he really so when I'd be shedding, he'd come into my practice room and he'd really give me good tips, and like he'd see me like shedding like the things we were like for combo like bird blues. It was so funny. This back when I was only playing third and seventh on the piano. He saw me going through it, and he's like, "Yeah, man," and I was just like, "Yeah," I was like, "I see it, but like." How do you solo over this?" And like a good ass answer, play the harmony. But at the time, I just wasn't I wasn't the musician or improviser I was, and that's back when I just transcribed, and I would spit out my licks, I guess you could say. I would transcribe stuff, and I would put in all keys, and I would just insert it, and like that's all I did. But because I did that so much, I'd always be blowing my lip. So when it was time to actually play it for real, it was like it kind of came out, it really didn't, and it's like, oh god. So yeah, I sounded obviously bad. But he come into my practice room, being the G he was, being the really good guy he was. He'd come into my practice room. And he'd always give me tips, and he'd always like really just like give me some real shit. And so one day he comes in. So this is like when we first met me, and this is after I was like really like he saw I was really hurting myself. He's just like, so he was like, "You're telling me how like you puff your cheeks to play high." He's like, so like I showed him. So I put a G in the step up to a high E, and I was puffing my cheeks to hit it. And I was like, "Yeah, but I can't get higher." And he's like looking at me like this, and I'm like, "Why is he looking at me so weird?" Like, man, that's some dizzy shit. He's like, "Man, like that's not how you do it." And I was like, "What? That's wrong?" He's like, "Yeah." He was like, "That's wrong." He's like, "You really need to study with me, man. Like, I could really." So he gave me like an intro lesson, and then he also like I started taking lessons out of his house, and like I was paying like $150 a lesson. I mean, at the time too, I was just like I wanted to study with him though. I mean, it was $150. Like I felt like I was wasting. I kept taking lesson after lesson after lesson, and I was spending a lot of money, man. But it was so worth it. It was so worth it, and a lot of my own money, some of my parents' money, but maybe a lot of my own money. I had money saved up that I luckily spent. I probably took like 10+ lessons with him at his house. Maybe less, but I think around 10+, to be honest. I took a lot of lessons with him, man, and like even to like the interactions at school or at his house. Sometimes he was, he'd find me at school. Other times we'd meet up other places, just he'd give me a lesson, and like if we couldn't like do it at his house, we'd go somewhere else. And this man really gave me some really good trumpet lessons, man, and like he kicked my ass. I mean, these lessons were embarrassing. I mean, like embarrassing. I mean, so fucking embarrassing. I mean, it just like, and he'd just be like, "This guy." But I was beginning not only roasted the fuck out of, I mean, it just like was the biggest ass kickers ever. I mean, like it was just, oh god, taught me so much. And like it was so funny, like even one of the lessons too, we put an etude, like a decently like an etude, like you should just be able to sight read, and I couldn't even play the first 3 bars without fucking up. And he was just like slower, and then like we went through the whole thing, and I sound so bad, and he like it was just cringe, and he's just like, "I'm kicking your ass, you know that, right?" I was like, "Yeah." It was just every lesson was super bad, and he really taught me about like so in general, he's the one who taught me trumpet's gotta be in like you got it's proper trumpet playing in general. Let me grab my horn. It was so funny. I used to hold my horn like like some Maynard Ferguson shit, some Maynard Ferguson lead players shit. I used to hold my horn like this, like that. I used to hold it like that. And I used to like really grip it like this. But then he was like, no, hold it like this, and then like this. And at first I couldn't even do it, and I was like, "Dude, I don't know about this." And he was like, "You'll get it eventually." And 2 months later, after really fighting it, I got it. My hand felt so weird changing the grip, you can only imagine. So that was step one. And then, he was constantly talking about, practicing soft. He had me do all the Clark etudes. He was like, "These etudes are money." He taught me, like, he's like, "You got a Clark book?" I was like, "Yeah, I got Clark and Arbenz." And then, like, I showed up. He's like, "All right, so what do you practice out of here?" And I was like, I was like, "I kind of practice out of here, but I was like, I feel like this shit doesn't help with range. Like, fuck this shit." And he was like, No. He's like, you're definitely doing it wrong, which I was. And he really explained to me, it's like, dude, you gotta like do this book the way it's intended. You gotta do it like, the right way. Either way, like he was all about like, he didn't want me to puff he was like, you gotta get rid of this cheek puffing thing. And like, it was so hard. I just really like, I really like couldn't. I never thought I would ever get rid of it. And even now, it's so funny because I puffed my cheeks so much back then. I still like deal with like little inconsistencies where like I still have to work on like like not, at least like I'm not setting with puff cheeks anymore. But sometimes when I play up top, excuse me, I get a little cheek puff, I get a little puff in the cheeks back here, which is not the worst thing. But I'm still working on trying to keep it. One day just nothing comes up, nothing happens here. But it's kind of impossible. After you rip a few high notes, you're going to be a little fatigued. So as long as you're setting like this, in my opinion, that's the biggest thing. But he really, and it was so funny when I was taking lessons with him too. I was playing lead trumpet, second semester, at my school, and I was starting to sound a lot better. And it was so funny. There are times he'd come up to me, he's like, "So you're gonna keep it in one embouchure?" And I'd just be like, because that's the thing, I would play like this most of the time, and then I would puff my cheeks when I got tired. And in general, to hit really high notes, like I said, if I was playing above like high E, I'd be puffing my cheeks. But there are times, I could play at high E like up to this. He comes up to me before a concert, he's like, "You're doing all one embouchure?" I was just honest. I was like, "Nah." I was like, "There's no way." But I was like, "I'm gonna try my best." And because I tried my best, I will be real. That concert, I was able to like last a lot longer because I played on one embouchure, and then when I got tired, I switched. And that's pretty much what happened throughout, all my trumpet career between 2016 through late 2017. Yeah, it's just so weird to think the time is now, man. Oh wow. So yeah, I was just studying with him. He really got me, and he taught me like the right ways. Taught me about proper trumpet technique. And like I said, even like step one, holding the trumpet, make sure like you hold it like this, and really like this. And your fingers should. You see a lot of trumpet players, their fingers are like sausages on this thing. Like I'm not even gonna replicate it because that's how anal I am about my technique. I don't even puff my cheeks to like mimic what I used to do because I don't even want that feeling. Like to this day, technique is still important, super important to me. So I practice. I mean, like, if I really got my shit together, I could really get my stuff together, like with jazz. And I'm just super lazy, and it's not that I don't practice jazz, but like I don't practice it as hard as I really should. And like, I like to play. I like to play. I like to transcribe, and I put like lines in 12 keys. I need to really start putting like tunes in 12 keys and practicing different time meters and slowly getting there. But I really all the time I shed technique, and I'm still like super about technique from him. So that's the thing. It was all about proper technique. And like I said, step one is making sure you're holding the damn thing properly. And like I said, you see a lot of trumpet players. You even see like the greatest trumpet players in the world. A lot of them play with sausage fingers, and like that's not what you want. You want it perfectly like this. And as much as you can, try to have the pinky out of the ring. It doesn't matter if the pinky does go there, but in general, it should be out. Even when I play up top, the pinky goes in the ring. Like it's so funny. Yeah. So that was step one, and like I took a lot of lessons with him, and so. 2017, so before my senior year, what would have been my senior year of college, LOL, and a ton of gigs, a lot of salsa gigs, a lot of lead gigs, and, a lot of fun gigs, and, I was getting through them, and that's like I said, I'd mainly play like this, but, I'd be puffing my cheeks a lot, especially when I not only got tired, but, to hit really high notes, and it was decent, I practiced a lot, and because I practiced so much, I was able to play up there most of the time, and not all the time, though. Not all the time. I was really fucking up my lip a lot of the time. But I was able to, get up there, and there's some gigs, I'd still be hitting a lot of high F sharps and high Fs, and I used to just 3-hour warm-up of, like, Clark stuff, and it would work. It's, like, the scary thing. I'd wake up with a fucked up lip. I'd do like, a 3-hour warm-up, and I'd show up to my gig and deal it. I'd be hitting Fs and F sharps, and, like, that's what worked back then, Didn't work forever, though. So, end of 2017... I was able to stop puffing my cheeks and keep it in one setting. Like I wasn't setting with puffed cheeks to play up top. I was playing the trumpet all like this. Only little did I know I was playing all the way up to the left, And like I had no idea that like that was bad. I had no idea like that was like, well, not even bad. I mean like taboo in trumpet land. People when they start out the trumpet, they start out in the center and like they play classical music. Like I was not like that. I played on the left my whole life. I never thought anything of it. I had no idea playing in the center is what we want as trumpet players. So step one, end of 2017, I played. So I had this orchestra concert, jazz orchestra concert where Jimmy Green's directing, and honestly, it's some of my best playing I've ever had. And that concert, I was pretty much able to keep it in one setting. I maybe puffed my cheeks a little bit, and then after that, I took a day off. And I remember from then on, I was able to play like this all the time. Now, even though I was able to play like this, like I said, like it's one thing to set like this, but like then sometimes like when I was playing up top, I would be playing like this, but my cheeks would be like kind of getting like filled with air down here, and I'm still working on that now. Like I said, it's a big thing I'm still working on now. That's how you can tell like you're not 100% doing it right sometimes. But I mean, like I said, the trumpet's the trumpet. It's just one of those things that like when you're dealing with high notes, like after you rip a few with really good technique, I mean, like it's gonna happen. I mean, especially for me, the playing demands I'm in now too, like they're unreal. They're unreal. I'm in unreal playing demands now. The last year of my life have just been unreal playing demands. I've dealt with them very well, even through a second embouchure change, what I'm about to talk about. But yeah, so end of 2017, I stopped puffing my cheeks, and I was able to pretty much play in one setting. But here's the thing: I was playing on a 7E at the time, and I was starting to get a lot of sauce lead trumpet gigs, stop all my school stuff, and my lip was getting tired because I was trying just to keep this. I was trying so hard to not puff my cheeks, and my lip would just be getting so tired. And luckily, the salsa lead trumpet player who's really good, his name is David Ruiz, one of my boys, he gave me a really nice mouthpiece that worked really well, and that got me through all 2017 and 2018. They got me through all my playing. So many high Fs I hit on that mouthpiece, and even some Gs, man. And I sound really good. Like, for me personally, I actually sounded some of my best on that mouthpiece, even though that mouthpiece really wasn't the best for me. It was more, I was really fighting it a lot, and I would bottom out a lot of the times, but I just love how it made me sound the upper register and how it felt, and like, it got me through a lot, man. That mouthpiece really saved me. Fast forward to 2019, there's this kid who I know, he's one of my boys. He wasn't the most serious trumpet player, but, he had talent on the trumpet, but he wasn't, like, the most serious, and because he wasn't, like, the most serious, like, he was like, dude, I'm telling you, if you put your embouchure in the center, like, like, it would change everything. And I always just looked at him and was like, go fucking practice, you fucking goon, And I'd be saying that it's so funny, the incorrect way, during the time for me, I'd be ripping, like, high F sharps with, like, my crazy, like, embouchure, and, like I said, I looked at him and was like, go fuck yourself, like, fuck you, like, I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I take criticism very badly, so I'm very in my own element, and like he was like telling me, you should move your mouthpiece. I was like, fuck that. So then, I took a lesson with this dude named Tony Galausi, and he was like, yeah, you really should put your mouthpiece in the center. You'll deal with things like he's like because you play the left, you're gonna deal with a lot of bullshit things that most trumpet players like don't deal with. You're gonna deal with some inconsistencies. Right? Even for me, like I said, like during that time too, before 2019, like the end of 2018, I was actually having some serious it was just on and off chops. It was like I was either really on or I was really off. I was really on or I was really off, and like the only way I could stay on is if I just cut out everybody in practice and like really shed serious isometrics and etudes, and that's the only way I could be on. I had to really practice. If I didn't really practice, I had nothing. That, in my opinion, I think is like what I got from like playing off the left. Very inconsistent chops, because I'd have it one day, I wouldn't have it the next. I'd have it one day, and I actually was doing really smart I was really smart with my lip and like my practice habits up until like my fifth semester, like what would have been my fifth semester of school before I dipped it. I was doing really good at like hiding my bad days, but then eventually, as I started like I said, the real world's a real thing. As you start like exposing yourself to the real world, you also expose your inconsistencies. Like towards the end of 2018, I was having very on and off chop days, and I actually got roasted by Jimmy and Jamie for having a really bad lip day at one of my auditions, and that's a whole nother story too. I'll do that when I talk about when I dropped out of school and everything. But yeah, it's just like so I really like I just in general was just looking for an easier way to play, and I just went through a lot of bullshit. Like I said, I had to really practice, or like I had no chops. So. And then on top of always practicing, at the end of my gigs, I'd always just be super fucking beat, like to the point where I just couldn't make a sound. And that's part of the other mouthpiece I was playing on too. But still, I'm like, there has to be a better way. So 4 months ago, I was just screwing around, and it was so funny. Before I was screwing around, I had played a lead trumpet gig with this dude, Harold Zinno, the Harold Zinno Jazz Orchestra, and the lead trumpet player, his name is Tucker Barney. This cat's bad as fuck. This guy's killing, and like I thought he sounded so good, and I'm like, man, it's just so crazy to see someone who's like 27 and sound that good. It was like, wow. I was like, that's amazing. Like I want to sound like that. He had such a good sound. He was really dealing the upper register, and like I was like blown away. I was like, wow, I'm like, that's a beautiful thing, man. See a guy who's like really funny, really chill. And like to be that good, I was like, wow, that guy, wow. It was super inspiring. Remember, I actually had a gig the day after that with one of my friends. We played a funk gig at my school, or the school I used to go to, and yeah, my lip was super on, and it's so crazy. Like, things were really working out, but I went home the next day. I was just practicing like I normally would, and I realized, I was just lip buzzing. I just realized, like, my lip buzz, like, wanted to really be out here. And that's the thing I was to say, like, lip buzzing is super important, super important. I start out my day, I do lip buzzing exercises, like a lot of long tone lip buzzing exercises where I do it on the lip first, then the mouthpiece, and the trumpet. And before I make, towards the end of this video, I'm going to talk about the exercise that Germani showed me that really worked. Yeah, I do that every day. It's really helpful, and that's what helped me move my embouchure. So I was just screwing around, and I noticed the buzz was like really like, you know, I wanted to be over here, and I'd always be forcing it to be a certain spot over here, but I really wanted to be over here naturally, and I did, and I put the mouthpiece on, I did the mouthpiece, and I did the trumpet, and I noticed, like, wow, my sound was bigger, you know, I had more ease playing up top. I was like, wow, you know, I gotta change this, I gotta keep following. The day forward, I really just, like, started changing my embouchure towards the center, and this is 4 months ago. And it was all fun and games until I started, you know, like I said, getting tired on it, and I had to learn, like, where the right spot was. It was just, like, it's 4 months of hell. A month ago, like, August, I was really, I was just really having some chop troubles, you know. Not the worst, but, like, it's just, I couldn't play above a high D, and I was like, what is going on? And I realized I was playing too far to the right, actually, because I started out over here, and I was moving over here. Things were going pretty good, you know, very on and off days, and then, like, I was out here, and then, like, it just, things were going really bad. My mouthpiece that like I said I loved, that got me through stuff, stopped working, you know, so I went to a bigger mouthpiece, and then I eventually got this bad boy, a custom mouthpiece from Warburton. I shouldn't say it's custom, but I got fitted for it. Really nice. The guy that fitted me for this too really did a good job of fitting me the right way, like killing. His name's Ted Samudel. Really, it's because, like, you know, I was playing, but before I got the mouthpiece fit, you know, I got back into the practice room, and I realized, you know, I was playing too far to the right. And that's where I realized, okay, it's got to be in the center, and then voila, all my stuff started coming back. You know, realizing that it's got to be right behind my two teeth, and sometimes it varies. Like, sometimes it wants to be more over here, sometimes it wants to be more over here, but I think it's more to, like, more to, like, it's like a little bit more for me, it's a little bit more to the right. But sometimes I can even be a little too far right. Like, sometimes I'll warm up, and I'll have nothing, and then, boom. But with this new lip slur thing, it's like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. This lip slur, this exercise I'm going to talk about really has made things a lot easier, and it's going to make things a lot easier for you too. Yeah, so, you know, that's where I realized, you know, it's got to be really right behind my two front teeth, and that's, you know, proper embouchure is, you know, playing in the center, and then proper grip is, like I said, this, you know, you want to ring here, and then making sure you don't have sausage fingers, and making sure your fingers are always like that. That's proper trumpet playing in a nutshell. And if you can do that, that also helps to discovering the upper register, because that's just a rule of thumb. Your sound will also be a lot fuller too, because playing in the center. Let's get into this exercise. I've talked so much already about proper, but I want to show you guys, you know, what I've gone through, and, you know, what it really takes to, like, really, you know, play this instrument. It's no joke. I mean, sometimes you're gonna have to really do some dirty work to figure out, like, what's good. And, you know, like, it's so funny, you know, people talk about embouchure changes, and it seems so, like, such a crazy thing to do, but it's not, you know, it's so funny, like, going to school with a few people, and, like, even, like, you know, going back to school and talking to some people, you know, I'm not the only one who changes embouchure. There's so many people who don't. It's not a taboo thing to do, you know. You read about, like, what's his name, Terrence Blanchard, and they make a big deal about, like, oh, he changed his embouchure, you know, during the height of his career, and, like, it's just, like, yes, it's a big deal, and yes, it's, like, really hard. I mean, yeah, it'll screw you up for a while, but even Wayne Bergeron, like, man, he went through some serious shit, you know, and yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And, like I said, after I blew my lip for the first time, like, my chops were never the same. And during that time, it's so funny, you know, I kept trying to, you know, like, I kept telling my friend, you know, it doesn't feel, like, it just doesn't, and my friend was like, forget about how it feels. It's never going to feel the same again. You got to figure, it's like, you got to go to a different mouthpiece, and you got to figure it out. And, like, I just, like, was like, what? Like, that happens? She's like, yeah, that'll happen to you, man. That's just the trumpet, like, you know. And I thought, you know, life was over, but he was like, nah, like, you'll figure it out. You just got to change a few things around, you know, stop thinking about how it feels. And when Wayne was going through chop problems when he was younger, you know, he got like, his teeth fixed, and he was like me, he learned how to play through a gap on his tooth, and he had natural range. Like, I had, like, decent range in high school. Like I said, I could play really high, but, like, I can only play up to, like, an F or G. He was able to play up to a double C from the start, which is, like, freak of nature shit. But he learned too how to play through a gap, and he even too, like, you know, he played with really bad technique. You know, he played so loud, he said raunciously. He probably played like me, just very crazy. And I mean, like, it's so funny. I still want to play crazy, but, you know, anyways, you know, he had really bad technique. And then after he got his teeth fixed, you know, he was going to play, and he couldn't make a sound, kind of like me. And he kept trying to tell his peers, like, you know, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't, and they were like, Wayne, or his teacher, sorry, he started taking lessons with his classical teacher when he ran into these problems. This is Wayne Bergeron, the high note king. You know, he was at Disneyland playing fourth trumpet, like he could barely even hit a high C. You know, he went from being able to hit double C's to go to that, and you know, his teacher was just like, and like he was like, oh my god, he's like, you know, it doesn't feel right, and his teacher was like, Wayne, stop thinking about how it feels. It's never gonna be the same again. It's never gonna be the same. And it was like the same thing with me. I always started trying to tell my friend how it feels, and my friend was like, dude, it's never gonna be the same again. You gotta move on and figure it out. And I'm lucky I did. It was not easy, and it wasn't easy for Wayne either, but, you know, he listened, and he figured it out. And I low-key did too, you know. I'll get into how I'm still working on things now. But, yeah, so we all run into issues. Now I'm going to get to the exercise. Like I said, I started making this video the other day, so some of the clips are going to be from the other day. And then I'm going to add on to that and everything. So, all right. So before I do the exercise, though, I do a warm-up. I'm going to make a video about my warm-up sometime. It's called the Lori Frank exercise. Like I said, I do some long tones from G to low C. I buzz them on my lip first. I free buzz them on my lip. Then I do them on the mouthpiece, and then I do them on the trumpet. So I start with that, and then I go into this exercise. So here it is. Like I said, it's going to start from the other day, and then I'll... Finally, the exercise we've all been waiting for. Like I said, Jamani Smith showed this to me. And like I shed it a little bit, and it helped back in the day. But now I'm shedding it the exact correct way. So when we shed lip slurs on the trumpet, and like I said, I've overlooked this. I've never shedded lip slurs like consistently. Like I have like a little bit, but I've never really gotten into them super much so. And there's other lip slurs that Tony Galassi showed me that are awesome too. But anyways, so when you shed lip slurs, right, on the trumpet, you have a bunch of different, you have main valve combinations. You have this one open, that. I think there's 6. Yeah, I believe there's 6. So right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 7. 7 valve combinations. My bad. Yeah, so you have 7 different valve combinations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each one of those combinations has series. There's partial series. A little bit on the side. Breath attack these exercises. Always breath attack. So like when you start the notes, note. When you start them. Exercise is you're just literally doing like basic lip slurs pretty much. But the whole thing I'll show you is when you take them in the upper register, you slot partials rather than trying to do what most people would normally do. There's partials you got to hit in between, and that's how you get this exercise to really work and get the results like I have just gotten. So, let me start off. So, this is how I would do it. If I was going to play a gig, this is how I was going to do it. So, this is how I would warm up for it. So, let's do it. So, start on the staff. And try to do it as much as you can, keeping your hands completely free. You know, keeping a set embouchure in the center if you can. If you put it off to the side, maybe this might work for you. But center would be good, but it doesn't matter. So let me do the first part, so. Alright, run out of breath. Alright. So do that until you run out of breath. Now, and rest in between you do these. It's important. Now, starting where E in the staff is and do the same thing. So it would actually be, and this is where you start hitting like, you know, overtones and the series. So it would actually really sound like this. If you look at the piano, and it would look like this too. It sound like this. That's where it's going to start. You really got to get into those partials, and that's the whole point of this exercise, is getting into those partials while using the same combinations as you were before. So now we go to the next one. I want to try and play those at the piano, because I'm like confused if it's like more of a diminished sound or like if it's an in-between. Let's just say like those parts, like I say, you start here, so it's actually here. But it feels like the notes more like that than this. That's what I'm saying, like they're weird, like you really got to get into them. And like I said, you're doing the starting here. You're starting here, open, boom, 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 boom. Right. Okay. Right? And you really gotta get into these partials. notes, actually. So yeah, it's gonna sound like the whole goal is to really get into those overtones, those weird sounding notes, and that's how you do it. Now we're gonna start on. I'm just gonna start on B flat, only it's open. So there we go. That's fine. I'll demonstrate. And like I said, it starts on B flat open. And that's the whole thing. You want to do this exercise like I'm doing it right now. Start with the simple ones, and this is how I would warm up for a gig. And I'll even do a little bonus to how I would really warm up for a gig. But yeah, so this is how you want to do it. So like I said, start with the C in the staff, and then eventually do the one that starts in E in the staff. And this one's going to start on B flat above the staff, only it's open. So we'll demonstrate that. Ooh, and like I said, you want to do it until you run out of breath. All right, and like keeping the hands free too. Yeah, I said on the piano, like you're really hitting those parts. Like I said, it starts on the B flat, only it's open. You're starting at B flat, only it's open. Right, and you're hitting high C too, and you're hitting high D. It's all open. And like I said, you're following the combinations down, and that's the whole thing. You really want to get into these notes. Going back to the piano, like I said again, it really sounds like. Right, and now you're following the combinations. And that's how you do it the right way. You're really getting into these notes that like don't exist, but they exist. It's hard to explain, but the whole if you want to do it right, you gotta do it like this. And like I said, start at the beginning with you start at the C in the staff, and you do the starting on the E, and then starting with the B flat that's open. Now we do C through E, and now you're starting on high C, and you're hitting the D that's open, and then E. So it's like da da da. Demonstrate on the piano. Straight on the piano. No, you see it. Right? Demonstrate it. And the whole thing, while you're doing these two, you want to keep a mind on pressure. I'm gonna do that one more time because I didn't really fuck with how that was. But if I was preparing for a gig, I'd be like, all right, boom, that was it. I'm moving on to the next one. But for now, since I have some time, I'm shedding. Well, I'm making this. And this is my warm up too, by the way. I haven't really played that much for the day, even though it's night. Oh no. Again, get a little cleaner. A little trippy on that, but anyways, I'm going to keep moving on. But yeah, you really want to get into all of them. That was a little sloppy, so. To the last two here. And like I said, you want to do them exactly like this. Starting, like I said earlier, with the C, then going to the E, and then going to the open B flat, and then high C where we just were now. Now, we're going to do, starting from high C again, only this time, real meat and potatoes. And this one sounds crazy. And it's like you're hitting all the openness. And it's actually so funny, because I'm looking at the piano now doing this. It actually makes sense with how the piano works. Weird, right? Now you're going to do it starting from high C. And then it's going to go. It's going to kind of be like. I don't know if those last two are correct, but that first one is what it's going to be like. And then you follow the same thing down. hitting all those partials. From high C, like I said, and you're really finding all those little nitty-gritty partials up to high G. And that's how you find, like, a double high G. Because most people, when they try to play a high G, slide it like, oh my, that's what happens when you try to, they try to slide it like that. And the thing is, it's going to be so hard to find it, especially if you haven't found it before. It's how you develop really bad habits. You haven't found, so like, you know, sliding it like that, you know, even people try to be like, be developing bad habits and doing bad things to your lip to get that, because you not only do you not know where they are, you know, it's so hard to find them like that. The way we're doing it, like I said, is like this. So it's like you start opening, you just like, or however, I don't know if like I said the next, but anyways, that first one is right. Like this is like this kind of motion you want, and I'll demonstrate it too. Oh, it's all open now with that. Usually I take off my face there. But usually I was breathing through my nose to find them too. It's all good. But that's what happens. These are hard. These are really hard. And even if I'm an upstream player, so my horn's gotta be more up, or it won't happen like you kind of see. But I'll keep continuing. I was here. I gotta take it off again. You see, that's too much pressure right there. But you see, this is hard, and this is why we do this. And then I'm gonna start here, and then go up. And you see, I'm an upstream player, so I gotta be up. And these are things we're always learning about ourselves. I gotta be up, or it's not gonna happen. Bingo. There it is. So I'm going to try to do it again. Now, if I was warming up for a gig, I would just do that and be like, all right. And then I would do two more things, actually, to really make sure my lip's good, but I'll explain. But I'm going to do that again, since I'm shedding. You know, we're trying to get better at this. I'm going to do it again. And it's important to rest in between these, you know. Look at your phone. Play some golf. I don't fucking know. I'm just kidding. Playing golf would be a terrible idea. Unless you had your trumpet with you while I'm playing golf, right? Yeah, I'm gonna try to do it. Like I said, like when I was like getting to the point where it was like getting a little tiring, I started breathing through my nose and just I stopped for a second, breathe my nose, keep it on the same spot, and then keep going. But each school to take it off too. You can do that, but I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna try to not stop. And like I said, I'm an upstream player. I just found that out recently, because sometimes like if I'm not back here, if I'm not up, like, you know, shit doesn't happen, and that's what happens when you're an upstream player. Same with people who are downstream players. If their shit isn't down, it's not gonna happen. So, little things we're learning about. So, let's do it. I actually like the set from back here, so I pretend when I'm saying my embochure, I'm like setting from like the way back. I was like setting like that, kind of setting from the way back of my mouth, like kind of over here, like where the dimples are. Like that's how I set. If I don't set like that, what just happened? Just happened. I gotta take it off. Oh man, it's hard, but you see, I'm still shedding these kind of things. It's fucking hard. And then, you see, I'm an upstream player, and that's the thing. I go back, I'm upstream, and I have my jaw come all the way out. That's what works for me. And that's the thing I'm going to say about the trumpet. So that completes that one. I want to say about the trumpet. Trumpet is like shoe size. We are all different. Nothing is the same for nobody. Nothing. Everyone has a different experience. I always thought about that, you know. You listen to every different trumpet player, like, you know, Roy Hargrove, Clark Terry, Dizzy. Everyone's different. We all have different things. Clifford Brown, Jemani Smith, if you will. You know, Roger Ingram. You know, you look at how they all play, all different. Wayne Bergeron, everyone's so different. And for me, like I said, I'm an upstream player, and I do that kind of thing. Because, like, I don't know, that's what it be for me. That's what works for me. After that, I'll rest for a little bit, and then I'll do the final things that I do. And the final things I do, I just go from low C. So this is 2 more things. So I go from low C, G, B flat, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and like what that sounds like is this. I'll show you what it sounds like. It'll sound like. And then I keep going. And the same thing through all the valve combinations. And you're doing it, and then like you do it. You know, you go through all the valve combinations like that. That's the whole exercise. Let me demonstrate that, and that's it. And I'll show you what I do to really make sure my lip stays fresh before I would play a gig or something. Right. This is it. That's part of the exercise. Like, for me, when I play gigs, like, I'm gonna warm up like this. Right, do that again. I'm gonna do that right now. I'm more of an upstream player. I don't know why I'm not doing that right now. Keep going. That's the thing. So the last one there, I did it higher than normal. That's the thing. You can take these as high as you want. And you just follow the overtones until it takes you as high as you want. You can do it on any of these exercises. But this is the best one to do, like to follow all the way through. This is how you find like double C and like double A, whatnot. Yeah, that's it. Do that. That shit, and I swear to God, you'll be like me, just doing shit you've never done before. And it's much easier. And that's how you really unlock the upper register. Like people were like, oh, it's all about long tones, it's all about this. They help. Don't get me wrong, they help. But it's really about lip slurs like that, the partial exercise. And that's what this video was all about, that. And I'll show you what I do to keep my lip, like if I'm about to play a gig. So say I do that, I'd wake up, I'm about to actually play 5 nights of solid lead trumpet playing in Las Vegas. And good gig. I'm lucky I have that gig. And every morning I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go outside the hotel, go somewhere, do that warm-up, just do the partials, go through all of it. Then once I'm done with that, right, I'm going to be done. I'm going to do what I'm about to show you now to make sure my lip is uber ready for the gig. Right before we're about to play, like when I take the horn out of the case, I might do like a long tone or two, and then I'll just go right into the partial exercise. I'm just going to make sure I just do the first 2 partials, just the C, sorry, the first 3, and like resting in between, and then I'm going to do the one on E, do that one, rest a little bit, and then the one, So on a B flat that's open, that goes up to high D, and I just do that, and then I'll rest, and then I'll be ready to hit. I know it's gonna come out and sound great and feel good. So, because doing that, for whatever reason, doing those three like really makes my lip feel really good. So, and as long as I make sure I stay up, because I'm an upstream player, keep this up. I really like, and I set, and like I said, setting for me, I set over here. But here's the thing, like I said, no trumpet player is the same. Trumpet playing is like shoe size. Nobody is the same. Nobody. Ain't nobody the same. Everyone different. Doesn't matter who you are. Everyone is different. So it's always something to keep in mind. But I think this is something that would work for every trumpet player, regardless where you play. Like I said, I spent 4 months of hell changing my embouchure, getting it to the center. It was so worth it, especially now with this. So maybe this might work for you if you play off the left or right. I don't know. You have to try it. But for me, this is amazing. So if I was about to play a gig, I would just do this over and over again. Right. I'd rest. Yeah. Some funny thing actually. Piece last night didn't even get stuck. Like it just got stuck in my horn. I was doing long tones and just my mouthpiece got stuck in my horn. I don't know what's good with that. Yeah, shit happens. Oh, until I get to a music shop to get it repaired. Well, not repaired, but like taken out. I should say repaired. But until I go to a music shop to get the mouthpiece taken out, it's gonna be my horn. So if I have any gigs now, between now and when I do that, my horn's gonna be right by my side when I go to my gigs. It's gonna be super funny. I'll be driving with it like this, making sure it doesn't get, be in my lap, or I might hold it like this the whole time while I'm driving, horn doesn't leave my side anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So then like I said, I do that, I would do this. Right, rest again, and I would rest longer. Right now, I'm not really resting longer. I'm about to go out with my friends, so I'm trying to bang this video out, and then do a little bit of a high note riff for all of you, and then go out with my friends, come back, practice, play little high notes. That's the thing, like doing this thing, you'll be able to play high notes every single day. Now, you gotta be careful, like I said, with this. High notes are something that can be overdone even when you do them correctly, because like these muscles right here are all going to give out at some point. Once they give out and like you start having some trouble up there, that's when it's like, all right, put the horn away. You can still play after that, but like even for me, like I was getting like cuts in my lip a little bit when I was first overdoing this, because after I first figured it out, I was like, oh my god, I was like cutting my lip a little bit because like I just have a little too much fun. You might have too much fun too, so it's okay to have too much fun. Like even when you have too much fun, you do this warm up like I'm doing right now. You'll be able to do it day after day, day in, day out. But always be mindful of how many, like, when this tells you it's time, or, like, you don't have to put the horn away, just don't practice high notes. Don't play high notes. Just do, like, your long tones, your Clark studies, whatever. Just don't play too many high notes. All right, last part. Like I said, I would do these three just a bunch over and over again until before the gig. Boom. Yeah. That's it. And then, they give the count off and we hit. That's what I would do. So yeah. That's it, man. That kind of stuff. Now I will play a high note thing for all of you to show you how effective this is. Really is effective. Really very effective. So I'll play some high note stuff, and yeah, I'm gonna hang out with my friends. I haven't played up there all day, so that's really so. Said high note thing. Let's do that again. But you see, it came out. Let's do it one more time. Another high note thing. But you see how like they're coming out? It feels nice. Uh, mm, mm. Feels good. So, and that's the thing about this exercise. It really gets you feeling up there where it doesn't really feel like it's a lot to play up there. What I need to keep working on. So that's the thing. I played a bunch of high notes there back to back. I normally wouldn't do something like that. But what I need to keep working on is less pressure, trying to finesse it more with my air, not changing too much here. Like the thing is, we're going to keep it like this, and you start changing things when you start playing over and over again. That's what you don't want to do. So I need to keep working on less pressure, finessing it, making it feel good. And yeah, that's the video, man. Enjoy this, share it with your friends. This is something that will save the trumpet community and save all of you from hassle. So you don't end up like me, 4 years of your life. Like, I was able to always play up there. Just, I'd always have it one day, wouldn't have it the next. Or I'd be able to do it, really well one day and not so much the next. And it was just that cycle over and over again. Like, I'd be playing gigs and, I'd kill it one day. Next day, I'd still kill it, but I have to play it safe. I'm like, who wants to play it safe, man? It's not fun. I mean, I don't know. I'm still going to have to play it safe at some point. But it's just like, your lip can only take so much. Like I said, we're dealing with crazy muscles here. So be careful and enjoy this. I hope this helps. Trumpet.